My dad chose not to walk me down the aisle because his favorite daughter planned a housewarming party on the same day as my wedding. But 2 days before the ceremony, he was beside himself when he discovered who would be taking his place. My sister Brooke has always been the golden child. I'm talking about the kind of favoritism where my parents flew across the country for her college orientation, but told me to take the bus to mine because gas was expensive. When she wanted a car at 16, they bought her a Honda Civic. When I asked for help with a used car at 18, Dad said I needed to learn financial responsibility. I sent out my wedding invitations 8 months in advance. Save the dates went out a full year before. Everyone knew the date, including Brooke. So when she announced her housewarming party 3 months later for the exact same day, I genuinely thought it was a mistake. I called her. "Brooke, that's my wedding day. You know that, right?" She laughed. "Oh, I'm sure people can do both. Your ceremony's at 2 o'clock. Mine starts at 4 o'clock. It's fine." It wasn't fine. My wedding was 2 hours away from her new house. There was no way guests could attend both. I waited for Dad to say something, to at least acknowledge how messed up this was. Instead, he called me that night and said, "Honey, I know this is hard, but Brooke already sent out invitations to over 50 people. Maybe you could reschedule. Spring weddings are nice too." I was getting married in October. He wanted me to push my wedding back 6 months because Brooke couldn't pick literally any other Saturday. I said no. He got quiet, then said, "Well, I'll have to miss your wedding then. Brooke's counting on me to help host. You understand?" I hung up. My mom called an hour later crying, saying I was tearing the family apart, and couldn't I just be the bigger person for once? Here's what Dad didn't know. My grandfather, his own father, cut him off 15 years ago after Dad chose his new wife's family over his own parents. When Dad remarried, his new wife didn't like Grandpa's old-fashioned opinions. So Dad just stopped visiting, stopped calling, didn't even tell Grandpa when I graduated high school. But Grandpa and I stayed close. We met for breakfast every Sunday. He paid for my college tuition all 4 years. He helped with my apartment down payment. He was at every birthday, every achievement, every moment Dad missed because he was too busy with Brooke. 2 days before the wedding, Dad showed up at Mom's house while I was there doing final seating arrangements. He walked in and saw the chart on the dining room table. His eyes went straight to the front row. "Who's walking you down the aisle?" he asked. I didn't look up. "Grandpa." Dad's face went completely white. "My father? You've been talking to him? Every week for 15 years. He's paying for half the wedding. Actually, the half you said you couldn't afford while you wrote Brooke a $15,000 check for her house down payment." Dad just stood there. I could see him doing the math in his head, realizing how much he'd missed. "He won't even return my calls," he said quietly. "Yeah, he blocked you in 2009, right after you told him your new family was your priority now, and he needed to respect that." Dad tried to salvage it. He called Grandpa 17 times that day. Grandpa never answered. Then Dad called me, voice shaking, asking if we could talk. I said, "I'm kind of busy planning a wedding and all. Please, I made a mistake. Let me walk you down the aisle. I'm your father." I took a breath. "You made your choice. Maybe you should have thought about priorities sooner. Brooke's party is at 4, right? You'll make it in time if you leave right after cocktail hour." He started crying, actually crying. "Don't do this. I'm not doing anything. You did this 2 months ago when you picked her party over my wedding. 2 years ago when you forgot my birthday. 15 years ago when you cut off your own father because your wife didn't like him." The day before the wedding, Brooke showed up at my apartment shaking and barely coherent. She'd been having panic attacks all week because Mom kept comparing our bodies. She wasn't trying to hurt me. She was terrified that in wedding photos, people would finally see me as the pretty one, and Mom would stop loving her. "I told Dad you agreed to postpone," she whispered. Before I could respond, headlights flooded my window. Dad's car screeched into the driveway and he jumped out, already yelling at Brooke to get in the car. She looked at me with pure terror and said Mom was waiting at their house with my wedding dress. Full story on channel linked below.